Welcome to Faith in the Storm, where we share powerful stories of resilience, redemption, and faith that shines even in life's darkest moments. I'm your host, Jordan, and today we have an extraordinary discussion lined up for you. Naomi and Howard will be diving into the remarkable testimony of a believer who, in his quest for deeper spiritual understanding, turned to psychedelics. What he experienced was nothing short of shocking, and yet it ultimately strengthened his faith in God in profound ways. I'll hand things over to Naomi and Howard as they unpack this incredible story of transformation and divine revelation. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this.
All right, buckle up, because today we're going deep, like really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, into a single YouTube video. It's a testimony.
Interesting.
And the title is, get this, I took psychedelics as a Christian. What I saw shocked me. And you might be thinking.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
You think it's going to be.
It's like one of those stories about
like drugs are bad, stay away, right?
Right.
Yeah. But no. This one's different. This one goes way deeper, takes us into faith, personal experience, and the search for spiritual truth.
Yeah, you're right. What I think is really fascinating about this video is it doesn't hold back. It just goes right into the raw emotions, the controversial stuff.
Oh, yeah, it gets intense.
About what happens when you mix psychedelics with, super strong religious beliefs.
It really does.
Yeah.
So let me introduce you to Joshua. He's the guy at the center of all of this. And oh boy, his story, so roller coaster. He had a really, really tough time early on. Addiction, mental illness, all of that. And he shares that, I think it was back in 2007, he hit absolute rock bottom, like ended up homeless.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just totally lost. And it was in that moment, in that deep despair, that he says he cried out to Jesus.
So like a classic, conversion story. He finds meaning and comfort in Christianity,
right.
After experiencing just tons of chaos.
Yeah, exactly. But it goes even further than that. He doesn't just find comfort. He becomes this super intense, fiery evangelist, spreading the word with us. He's talking about miracles, casting out demons.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. But then there's this shift. Something changes.
Like a spiritual plateau, almost like a crisis of faith. All these years of this, super strong belief suddenly lead to doubt.
It's like it's not enough anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And, in the video, he talks about how he's having all these deep conversations with people of different faiths, and he's realizing, just how vast and how different everyone's beliefs are.
Right. And it really starts to get to him if God is real, the God that he believes in so strongly, then why isn't it working the same way for everyone?
Right.
He sees genuine believers struggling, facing all these hardships despite their devotion. And it just starts to chip away at his foundation.
Yeah, you can feel his struggle. Just grappling with this idea that maybe what he believes to be absolute truth is maybe just, one way of looking at things.
One interpretation out of so many.
Yeah. Imagine dedicating your life to this message, right?
Yeah.
And then you start to see the cracks.
Yeah, and the
limitations.
It can be pretty unsettling. So here's Joshua, right? He's in this total existential crisis, all this doubt swirling around. And what does he decide to do? He decides to try something really radical. He's going to use psychedelics, specifically mushrooms, as a way to explore his faith.
Now, this isn't just some on a whim kind of thing. He put a lot of thought into this. It was very intentional.
Oh yeah, very intentional. Remember Joshua, he's had experience with psychedelics before from his wilder days. But this time it's totally different. He's not trying to get high. He's actually looking for a much deeper understanding of his faith. He even, he prays about it. He's asking God for guidance.
Wow.
Hey, is this okay? Should I do this?
That's pretty wild.
It is wild. And what's really interesting is that he frames this whole thing almost like a spiritual battle. He's going in to expose the lies of this spiritual realm so he can better help others.
Yeah.
It's he thinks that going through all that stuff, his past, his experiences with Christianity, even his experiences with psychedelics,
right.
It's he thinks those have prepared him for this really intense inner journey.
So he sees himself as a spiritual warrior, kind of.
Yeah.
Armed with faith and a past that's prepared him.
Exactly.
But, as we'll see, things don't exactly go the way he planned.
Oh, no, not at all. At first, the trip is pretty smooth. He even feels some positivity, But the moment his friend leaves the house, the whole energy changes. It's like, boom, this darkness just descends on him, like this feeling of dread.
We have to remember, too, that his spiritual awareness, it's super heightened at this point, you know?
Right.
Like, he's sensitive to all these little changes in energy.
Yeah.
So what might be just, like, mild anxiety to one person
Right.
becomes this, like, full-blown spiritual attack for him.
Totally. And he starts having physical problems, like pressure on his chest. He can't breathe well. And he describes it as feeling like these demons, individual demons, like closing in on him.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if that's a physiological reaction to the mushrooms or something more, but it terrifies him. He even tries to laugh it off at first, like, ha ha ha. But the fear, it just keeps growing, escalating.
So, like, how does it get worse?
Well, he ends up standing in front of his bathroom mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to convince himself that it's just the mushrooms, that he's not going to die from this.
Right.
He's trying to rationalize. But then he hears this voice, a voice he thinks is God. And it says, "Who says I can't stop your heart whenever I want?"
Oh, wow.
And in that moment, he just gets it. Like the seriousness of this situation, he realizes he's made this huge mistake.
Right.
And that now he might be facing really bad consequences.
So the fear that he was trying to, like, overcome, that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Now it's, like, his reality.
Yeah, and he starts praying, like really, really praying. But it's like the darkness is suffocating him. And he describes it as he can only breathe when he's actively praying.
Oh, wow.
Like every word is a gasp for air.
That's intense.
It is. And he even calls his wife. He's begging her to pray for him, trying to explain what's happening. But he can barely even talk.
Right.
And by the time she gets to him, he says he's being pulled out of his body into this, like, void. It's as if he's walked through this door he can't close.
I gotcha.
And now he's totally at the mercy of these forces that are way beyond his control.
And that's where we leave off for now.
Yeah. So, what do you think so far?
I mean, wow, that was quite a ride, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's only just beginning. We'll find out what happens next time on our deep dive.
Can't wait.
Until then, stay curious.
Yeah, and open-minded.
All right, we'll see you next time.
It's like being pulled into the unknown, like you're just not in control anymore.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's got to be terrifying, especially for someone like Joshua who's used to, like, structure, certainty.
Yeah, he wants to know the answers.
Yeah.
And this is just the start of the really weird part of the story.
Yeah.
So they get back to his house, and things get, like, really crazy, like next level stuff. He finds himself in this giant hand.
Oh, what?
I know, right? Like a giant hand. And he's just suspended in this, like, black, empty space. And on one side, he sees all these demons.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then on the other side, there's the kingdom of heaven, but it's all veiled.
So, like, you can't really see it.
No, it's like it's hidden behind this, like, curtain or something.
I mean, just thinking about the imagery,
Yeah.
the giant hand, it's like this representation of, like, divine power, judgment, and
Yeah.
then the demons in heaven. It's like this, like, ultimate battle between good and evil.
Totally. Salvation and damnation. Like, we're about to watch a cosmic courtroom drama unfold.
Oh.
I know, right? And Joshua, he's stuck right in the middle of it.
So what happens?
Well, he's just totally helpless. Like, he's surrounded by all these demonic figures, and they're accusing him of stealing souls from their realm. Like, he messed with forces he shouldn't have messed with.
So they're blaming him for, like, messing up the spiritual balance or something.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you think, like, is this real? Is this really a divine judgment?
Right. Or is it, like, all in his head?
Right. Or is it just his own, like, internal stuff,
Yeah.
All his fears and guilt about using the mushrooms just, like, amplified because of this crazy altered state he's in.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that, like, psychedelics can bring all those subconscious fears and beliefs to the surface,
Yeah.
sometimes in, like, really dramatic ways.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets even more intense. He says he can feel his organs, like, shriveling up, his life force draining away. And he's exhausted from fighting these spiritual beings, so he finally just gives up.
Surrenders.
Yeah, surrenders to God. He goes limp in this giant hand. But then something tells him to keep fighting.
Oh, wow.
It's like this battle between, like, giving up and this primal survival instinct.
Right. Yeah.
And he really believes, like, this is it, This is the moment his eternal soul is being judged. And every breath he takes, it's like this conscious effort, like a gift from God.
It's powerful imagery, that's for sure.
It is. And he keeps praying, clinging to that hope. But then he has this realization he needs to be there for his family. Like, that becomes his anchor, his reason to keep going.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And as soon as he has that thought, the pressure starts to ease up. And he even sees these angels, like, appearing around him, praying for him.
So, like, he surrenders, puts his family first, and then there's this divine intervention.
Exactly. It's like that act of selflessness opens the door.
Opens the door for something good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the most dramatic moment of the whole story. So this shadow of a cross appears.
Yeah.
Everyone stops. Everything goes silent. And then Jesus himself, he walks out of the kingdom of heaven.
No way.
I know. And he puts his arm around Joshua and says, "This is mine."
Oh, wow. It's like this huge cosmic battle between good and evil, and love just like wins.
It does. Love wins. But it's not quite over yet. So Joshua finds himself back in his body. He starts going through this like intense physical purging.
Purging? What do you mean?
Like vomiting and stuff, like getting rid of all this negativity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, boom, he's pulled back into the spirit realm. But this time, he's in heaven.
Okay.
And things take this really interesting turn. He's in heaven.
Right.
Right. But he can't see the full glory of it. It's still hidden. And he runs into Jesus, and Jesus just casually says, "Maybe we shouldn't do that again, bro."
What? He just says that.
I know. I was shocked, too. You'd think there'd be some kind of, like, divine lecture, you know? But no, Jesus is super chill, forgiving, even a little funny.
It's not what you'd expect from, like, a divine encounter, you know?
Not at all. But here's the twist. While Jesus is totally cool with him, the other heavenly beings, they are not happy with Joshua at all.
Oh, no.
He feels this intense shame, this condemnation from him. It's like this weird contrast between Jesus' unconditional love and the judgment he's getting from everyone else in heaven.
So it's like two totally different ways of experiencing forgiveness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have the pure love of Christ, and then you have like the weight of tradition, all the rules and expectations.
And the people who aren't so quick to forgive.
Right.
And Joshua, he feels so unworthy in that moment, like totally tainted by what he went through. He actually begs God to just let him worship silently.
Yeah.
It's like he went from this confident spiritual warrior to this humbled soul.
Yeah.
Totally stripped bare by this divine encounter.
It's a huge moment of humility, right? Like it broke him down, but it also opened him up to something like deeper, a deeper understanding of faith and where he fits in.
Totally. And then just as he reaches this point of surrender, he's suddenly flooded with all this knowledge, all these revelations about heaven and earth. But it's too much.
Too much? Like how?
Like he literally feels like he's going to explode from the intensity of it.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Like he was searching for knowledge with the mushrooms. Yeah. The truth he wanted so badly. And now that God is giving it to him, it's overwhelming.
Like a cautionary tale about trying to take shortcuts.
Yeah, trying to force your way into something that's supposed to be revealed gradually.
Right. And he actually begs to be sent back to Earth. He realizes that reality, with all its limits and boundaries, it's actually protecting him.
Protecting him from what?
From the power of this cosmic knowledge. It's like a humbling realization.
Yeah.
You know, even when we're searching for truth, there are limits to what we can handle.
There's only so much we're meant to know.
Yeah, at any given time.
Right.
So he's looking for answers, ends up in some crazy cosmic courtroom, gets a personal chat with Jesus, and then almost explodes from too much heavenly knowledge.
There's a lot to take in.
It's like the wildest spiritual roller coaster I've ever heard of.
Right. I mean, it really pushes the boundaries of what we usually think of as a religious experience.
It does, but it's not just about the shock value, you know?
Right.
There's a lot to think about here.
Yeah, like what does it mean to look for truth in such a unconventional way? And what could happen? What can we learn from Joshua's experience?
Well, his biggest takeaway is that psychedelics, they're inherently deceptive.
Yeah.
They're manipulative, like a tool of the devil to lead people astray.
Right.
But I don't know, I'm still kind of wrestling with that idea.
Yeah, it's a big statement.
Yeah, I keep thinking, is there a more nuanced way to look at it? I mean, can you have these powerful experiences without, you know, demonizing the substances themselves?
I think that's a question a lot of people are asking, especially with all the research happening now on psychedelics.
Yeah, all the therapeutic stuff.
Right. Scientists and therapists are looking at the benefits, you know, for things like depression, anxiety, PTSD.
So maybe it's not just good versus evil, like he says.
Yeah, maybe it's more about how you use them.
The intention, the context, all of it.
Exactly. It's like any powerful tool, right?
Or like that.
You can use it to build something or destroy something.
Yeah.
Think about fire, right? You can burn your house down, but you also need it to cook, to stay warm.
Even for art, you know? Like blast blowing.
Exactly. It's all about how you handle it, your skill, the environment.
That's a really good point. But still, with all the risks, how do you even think about using them responsibly? I mean, Joshua's story was terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want anyone to go through that.
Oh, of course not. But I think it shows just how important those factors are.
Okay, so, like, what kind of factors?
Well, intention is huge. Are you using them just to get high?
Right, recreationally.
Yeah. Or do you have a specific purpose? Healing, spiritual exploration, personal growth?
So you're not just trying to escape reality.
No. You need a clear goal.
Respect for their power.
Yes, and a willingness to do the work.
The inner work.
Yeah.
It's not just about having a fun time.
Right. And the setting, that's super important.
Like where you are.
Yeah. Are you in a safe place?
With people you trust.
People you trust, yes. And is there someone there who knows about these things? Someone who can guide you? Like a guide, yeah.
Because it can get really intense emotionally.
And you might have insights need help processing.
Exactly. It's like going on a tough hike, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it alone.
Not without a map or the right gear.
Right, especially if it's dangerous.
Okay, so intention, setting, and what was the last thing?
Integration. What do you do after the experience?
Right, because it doesn't just end when the drug wears off.
No.
Yeah.
How do you make sense of what happened? The insights, the emotions, the changes in how you see things?
How do you bring that back into your everyday life?
Yes. And how do you use it to grow and heal?
It's not just about having the experience. You actually have to do something with it.
Yeah. And that often involves therapy. Writing about it,
Spiritual practices.
connecting with people who've been there.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's so worth it. It's about making meaning, connecting the dots.
Between those altered states and reality.
Exactly.
So it's really a journey.
Yeah, a journey of self-discovery.
Like-
And it takes honesty and courage and a willingness to really look inward.
Absolutely.
So even though Joshua's experience was extreme, and I wouldn't recommend it,
Right.
it does show that you can go through something really hard and come out transformed.
For sure.
He ended up with a stronger faith, a better understanding of himself, and a new sense of purpose.
Yeah, and it makes you think, do we need to go through darkness to appreciate the light?
It's a deep question.
Maybe. But if you do, be careful, be intentional, have people you trust around you.
You don't have to have a terrifying experience like his to find meaning or connect with something bigger.
There are so many paths to growth and healing,
Some gentle, some intense.
and we all need to find what works for us.
Right, like we each have our own spiritual path.
Exactly. And it's important to honor that, to approach these things with respect.
And a little bit of healthy skepticism.
Yeah? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Keep exploring.
Well, this has been quite a deep dive,
It has.
exploring psychedelics and faith through Joshua's crazy story.
Yeah, we've seen darkness, fear, judgment,
But also love, forgiveness, and the human search for meaning.
and I hope our listeners are leaving with, more questions than answers.
Yeah, a desire to keep exploring these things.
Remember, the most important journey is the one you take within yourself.
Keep searching, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
That's it.
See you next time.
What an incredible conversation between Naomi and Howard. Thank you both for exploring this profound testimony with such thoughtfulness and grace. Joshua's journey is a powerful reminder that God's truth can reveal itself in even the most unexpected places. If this story resonated with you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments or connect with us on social media. And remember, you can watch the full testimony on the Delafé Testimonies YouTube channel. Check the link in the description. Thank you for joining us on Faith in the Storm. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected as we continue to bring you stories of hope, faith, and transformation. Until next time, may God's peace guide you through every storm. God bless.